I must start on a different note today. It breaks my heart when we hear or read about the Dele Ali story. Dele Ali, Tottenham Hotspur player, ex Tottenham Hotspurs player, ex Everton player. I'm not sure what team is he playing for right now. It breaks my heart when you hear stories of that nature, especially to people that maybe we look up to, people that we aspire, people that um, they bring hope or pretty much give us a bit of inspiration there and there or once in a while. And it breaks my heart even further when such stories happen um, to countries or to places where structure is in there. When I say structure, I mean like structure that protects, structure that allows you an outlet to voice out, a structure that allows you to pretty much free yourself. And I'll take it back home now, bring it back home. Mzansi, there's so many players I think they're going or they might have experienced what has experienced. And it could be different, of course. It might be not as hard as Deli Ali's story, but yes, I mean, there's so many players, the likes of Teko. We know Storisake. He's expressed how he felt, how he pretty much dealt with the whole situation, and uh, how he was. I'm lost with the word on this thing, but it's like even as told Nezuteko, like where is he or where is he going? But when he like outside the pitch, he was someone else, but he would deliver, always deliver. Of course, Degmudis. Now, my point is on this. How about the SAFA or the league entirely? It has or it protects players from such things. I had a conversation earlier, Zolo. Actually, not earlier, Zolo, but late, Zolo, yesterday. Conversation of code and structures, in the sense that when you didn't know nothing or anything about money and you get to be exposed to so much or too much money, it's easier for that money to control you. That's one. It's easier for that money to mislead you too. And of course, it makes you feel like, you're the man, you've arrived, you're the guy, you're the person. And of course, that's money. It has that power and it gives you so much access. Speaking of access, I think that's where now the structure must come into play. Given the fact that when you have money, you have so much access into things, so much access into women, so much access to drugs, so much access to so much that at some point it becomes too overwhelming or it becomes some sort of an outlet for you to to venture out or for you to vent out, so to say, because you have so much access. And with that access, you find that now, I mean, a lot of players. I mean, if a study could be conducted, you'd find that a lot of professional players they're from backgrounds that are not good, and they've incurred and suffered in their own respective rights, in their own different ways, and that at some point, when you have money, you you try to find those outlets or you use the very amount of access that we have to deal with those traumas or the very amount of access that we have to kind of like, yes, I am dealing with this, where you splash money on women, you splash money on pretty much everything that we have access to. Hence, you'd find the longevity of our players. It becomes something that is questionable because yes, some of the teams are struggling. As I've said before, there are few teams that are 10 years older in the PSL, and there's so much that happens. And when that happens, you'd find with Manje, its structure gets to be questionable. And I know I'm just jumping from one topic to the other, but the main point here is personally, I think teams, uh, the national governing body of professional football, Mzansi, should make it a point that each and every team has a certain element of structure that guides people, guides guides them in the sense that, look, here's one thing that I've noticed. The minute you have too much money to use, or you don't know where to use, the better way to guide, or the better way to make use of that money ngendlela right, is to have a sense of responsibility, in the sense of which it should be something that is enacted in contracts, where it's like, look, if you earn this much, and this is, yeah, if you earn this much, this must happen, so that you keep contract yako intact, and so that you protect the team as well as your brand, as well as the brand's team as well. I think there should be something in contracts where a sense of responsibility is given to players, especially if there's a certain amount of money that those players earn. Yes, I know it's not like you are policing how they live their lives, but what you're trying to do is give them a sense of responsibility and a sense of longevity into their play. Because I think when you give someone a sense of responsibility, how they repay that is holding themselves accountable, or holding themselves responsible, in a sense of which, look, if I have a foundation that I run, ngintwana ngimncane, I have big bucks and stuff like that. If I have that foundation that I run, of course, it would be of disservice to my foundation. Uthole ukuthi i-foundation yami yazi ukuthi, oh, Gush wenza so and so, oh, Gush has done 1 and 2 and 3. I mean, come on, I can't continue doing that, or I can't jeopardize my brand, or jeopardize my identity like that, because there is something that I'm tasked to, there is something that I'm responsible to. And with this responsibility, I mean, there comes a sense of how you handle yourself, or how you maneuver through spaces, but like, no, I can't do this, uyakhona ukuzinqanda, uyakhona ukuzilawula, uyakhona to have a better way to go about in how you mingle, how you do all these other things. Like, for instance, let's say in most cases, or some of the big teams in the Europe, I know this is unfair a comparison, but given that we adopt a lot of things from the West, I think this as well, we must adopt it. Ukuthi ama players, they should be monitored. There should be like a committee that monitors ama player. Committee that monitors ama player, because look, if you want a better structure, or if you want better investments, or if you want longevity into our league, and sustain it very much well, and invite my investors into it, that means the people inside it, the league, the players, they should hold themselves at a higher standard, so that it's easier for us to pull in our investors and stuff like that. And part of doing that is to have that committee that monitors or policies our players. Like, how many players that we know like now are broke. We know that ama-career wabo aphelile due to substance abuse. Ama-career wabo aphelile due to discipline. Ama-player, and yonke loo nto leyo it boils down to one thing, an element of access into too much things that are at your disposal because you have too much money that you've never even seen in your family, or you will never ever see anyone making that kind of dough in your family. So that sense of responsibility, I think it's very, very much important that every youngster, ama-contracts wabo should bind them into such element of responsibility so that they can take care of themselves outside the pitch. They can be professionals outside the pitch. Ingabi intwana yashisa first year, second year, third year, uthi intwana mayina 20 something, like 24 or 25 ayisashisi anymore because manje udakwe imali. I mean, come on. I think there should be better ways into monitor such things, or there should be better ways into creating outlets that build and create a sense of responsibility for these youngsters so that they can carry themselves ngendlela right outside the pitch. And when that happens, the better. Maybe we'd have our investors in the teams, and the league would grow as well because we have investors in the teams. Because the people in the team or in the league themselves, they've created a better structure, or they are conducting themselves at the highest standard. Because really, like this thing, you find Intwana is at the age of 27, then the peak levels are not there. I mean, that's where now we should, and I know I'm just touching on the surface. There's so much that goes into these subjects, matters, how that so much money, it kind of like helps you or think or makes you think that you're dealing with the traumas, your childhood traumas. Because when when you start having so much money and so much access, the trauma starts kicking in as well, because like, wow, uyatsipa kancane, is it me having this, is it me living this life? And now you start recalling izinto zenzakala. And when you do that recalling, or having to take yourself in retrospect, it becomes heavy for you, or it becomes heavy for others, because those traumas, they're bad. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents into it. Having better structures or better committees that could give players a sense of responsibility. And again, contracts as well should bind players into that. Look, having this element of responsibility, you can do 1 and 2 and 3. I so wish I could sit down with an agent and ask these things. I want the contract ithini, because I haven't dealt with any contract that is associated with players or anyone of that nature, which is something I would love, a space that I would love to be as well, because there's so much structure that goes into protecting a brand, so much structure or infrastructure that goes into taking that brand to one place into the other. Like this other time, just maybe I might be diverging, but this other time, kind of this youngster. So this youngster is starting to make, waves and stuff like that. So manje khona lehroti le ayikhona umkhuza umntwana omncane, because manje umntwana omncane yakhona umnika imali. And make khona umnika imali, like yakhona uma 2 tower 3 tower. Of course, if maybe ufumana that amount, where else ukuthi ayikho la ungayithola khona, sometimes you keep quiet, you can't even reprimand lo mntwana lo. So in such cases, if there is a contract in place that stipulates certain things, especially when it comes to money, that player there, that young player that looks to be reprimanded or looks for an outlet to voice out some of the things that abadila nazo, because look, being an athlete, there's so much pressure. Unemali, kunama family members, like you taking care of everyone right now, everyone, because you have so much to. So yeah, I think I'm a contract how are they drafted. I don't know how are they drafted currently, but there should be an element that adds a sense of responsibility, and it should be something that is solidified in a sense with look, this has to happen. It's like your but in the corporate okay, your key performance indicators, you know. But obviously in football, I think there's a word into it, there's a terminology into it. In most cases, they're called add-ons. Okay, there's a 5 million add-on if you do 1 and 2 and 3. So even those add-ons, they should be there kuma contracts of those young stars. Let's say if into an 80K, there should be, something that specifies, look, if you do 1 and 2 and 3, or take for instance, if you conduct yourself well in public, this is 1 and 2 and 3 that you'll earn. You know, if you push and this is 1 and 2 and 3 that you'll get. And I think that will, elevate our league, invite sponsors or invite more investors into our leagues, from grassroots level or from your lower leagues, from your APC, NFD, going forward. Sorry about that. So yeah, it's just how I think, given this Daily Ali story, as izinto they can be dealt with, because my take on that story is trauma just ivele yabuya, given that there were people maybe starting to claim, starting to want a piece of you right now because we have so much money. So part of dealing with those things is to have a structure and people in place. But the structure starts with contracts and giving players a sense of responsibility. Anyway, do the right thing, don't forget to subscribe there. Peace out.